All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're cutting through all the noise in the carbon market to talk about one of its most important tools, forest carbon credits. And trust me, these are becoming a huge piece of the puzzle for how we're going to meet our climate goals. So, your company did it. You made that big public net zero pledge. The press release went out and the pressure is officially on. But now what? How do you actually turn that promise into something real? Something you can actually measure? Well, for a huge number of companies, the answer is literally all around us, in our planet's forests. A massive 37% of all carbon credits that get used today come from forestry and land use projects. That makes them, by far, the #1 solution businesses are turning to. And all that demand brings us to the real heart of the net zero challenge. With everybody rushing towards forests, the conversation has totally shifted to one thing: quality. How do you know the credits you're buying are the real deal, backed by solid science? Okay, let's do a quick reset here. What exactly is a carbon credit? Just think of it like a receipt or a certificate. Each one stands for 1 metric ton of CO2 that's been pulled out of the air or, just as importantly, stopped from getting there in the first place. Companies buy these to balance out the emissions they can't yet eliminate. Simple as that. And we're going to zoom in even further on a specific type: nature-based credits. These are the ones that come from projects using the power of nature itself. We're talking forests, wetlands, you name it, to soak up carbon. It's basically letting biology do the heavy lifting. The cool thing is, they're often easier to scale up and, as we're about to see, they come with all these amazing extra benefits beyond just carbon. But here's the most important takeaway, and you really can't ignore this. Not all carbon credits are created equal. Not even close. This is where the whole system lives or dies. The integrity of this market is all about quality. So let's break down what that actually means. Okay, this slide is basically the checklist for a top-notch credit. First, it has to be verified by a big name, a trusted standard, like Verra or Gold Standard. Then there's this word, additionality. It's a bit jargony, but it just asks a simple question. Would this good thing have happened anyway, without the carbon funding? If the answer is yes, then it's not additional. You have to be funding something new. Permanence is also key. You need to know that carbon is locked away for good, not just for a couple of years. And of course, you need transparency in how it's all tracked, plus those amazing co-benefits that help people and wildlife. All right, now for the main event. We are going to dive into the 5 major types of forest carbon credits that are really shaping the market as we head into 2025. So this chart gives us a great bird's eye view before we get into the details. Just look at how different these are, not just in how much of the market they command, but in the unique benefits they bring. We're talking everything from protecting coastlines to helping farmers, all bundled into a climate solution. First up, blue carbon. This is all about coastal ecosystems like mangroves, and these things are absolute superstars. Get this, they can suck up carbon up to 4 times faster than forests on land. And on top of that, they're a living seawall for coastal towns and a nursery for all kinds of marine life. Just incredible. Next is the one you probably know best: afforestation and reforestation, or AR for short. This is the classic approach, right? Planting new trees or bringing degraded forests back to life. And it's popular for good reason. It's a super direct way to rebuild ecosystems, heal the soil, and create good jobs in the process. Coming in at number 3, we've got improved forest management, or IFM. Now, I think this one is really smart. Instead of planting new forests, you focus on making the forests we already have, the ones we work in, healthier and better at storing carbon. It's all about smarter, more sustainable practices. And at an average price of around $16, it's a super cost-effective way to make a big difference and protect our water sources. Then we have agroforestry, which is this brilliant idea of weaving trees right into farmland. This is a perfect example of a climate solution that just keeps on giving. You get healthier soil, bigger crop yields, and you're directly supporting small-scale farmers, especially in places like Africa and Latin America. It's a win-win-win. And finally, the biggest player on the field, REDD+. That stands for Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. So, unlike planting new trees, REDD+ is all about protecting the incredible forest we already have that are under threat. This is absolutely critical for saving biodiversity hotspots and for supporting the indigenous communities who are, let's be honest, the best guardians of these forests. This chart really puts it all together. You can see that planting trees is a big deal at 20%. But look at Red Plus. At a full quarter of the market, the single biggest priority right now is on preventing the loss of the amazing forests we still have. That tells you a lot about the world's climate strategy.
Okay, so that's the theory. But let's look at how this stuff actually works in the real world, because the stories from the ground are where this all comes to life.
So first, we're heading to Indonesia to the Katingan peatland project. This is one of the biggest Red Plus projects anywhere on Earth, and it's protecting this massive, incredibly carbon-rich peat swamp forest. I mean, the scale here is just hard to wrap your head around. We're talking 150,000 hectares. This one project stops over 7.5 million tons of CO2 from hitting the atmosphere every single year, just by keeping this vital ecosystem standing. It's huge. Okay, now let's switch gears completely. We're jumping from the peatlands of Indonesia to the coast of Kenya. And here, we find this amazing blue carbon project called Makoko Pamoja, which means mangroves together in Swahili.
And what's so powerful about this one is that it's led by the local community. It's the perfect example of how this kind of finance can empower people to restore their own environment, locking away carbon and building a stronger, more resilient future for themselves.
So you know the different types and you've seen some of the incredible projects. The next question is obvious. How do you actually navigate this market and build a strategy that really makes an impact? A really good strategy boils down to a few key things. First, and this is rule number one, always, credits have to add to your efforts to cut your own emissions. They can never replace them. It's an and, not an instead of. Second, you got to diversify. Just like with investing, you spread your portfolio across different project types to lower risk. Third, you use all that great data for solid ESG reporting. And finally, you tell the stories. Getting people excited about these projects is how you build real momentum. Now, looking ahead, it's not all a walk in the park. There are real risks out there, like not having enough supply and rules that keep changing. But the flip side is really exciting. We have new tech like AI and satellites making verification better than ever. Governments are getting more supportive, and amazing new projects are popping up all over the world. So it all comes down to this big question, doesn't it? Are forest carbon credits a vital tool for fighting climate change, or are they just a license to pollute? And honestly, the answer is, it depends entirely on how you use them. They are an incredibly powerful tool, but they only have real integrity if they're paired with a serious, science-backed plan to cut your own emissions first. That right there is the secret to a credible net zero journey.